On July 13, 2024, someone opened fire on a former president. He fired approximately 8 shots in 3 seconds. The shooter was later identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. One shot would hit its target, grazing him in the ear, while another would strike a supporter in the stands. The other shots are shown here, with one bursting a hydraulic line on a lift. Initial eyewitness reports came out that the shots were coming off in the distance from the water tower, 423 yards away.
Sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. They feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere.
When they finally let us up, and they had been right by the fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower, there was one by the fence.
This would later conflict with official reports which claim Crooks acted alone and was the sole shooter. Is it possible there was a second shooter? Are all the bullet trajectories still possible from this new vantage point? The theory goes as follows. It's claimed the shooter on the roof was only a decoy. The real shooter would have climbed the water tower, here, and then continued climbing until he was at the top around this bulb. This is a video of the same design but a different tower. We can see there is enough room for a person at the top of it. Another thing to note is, before the event, some claim to have seen Department of Agriculture vehicles around the water tower, along with the local police department. The tower is currently closed off and part of an active investigation. The theory continues that after taking the shots, he would then climb down from the water tower and make a clean getaway. Some people claim he would zipline off the tower, but there is no evidence backing this up, and I will only be showcasing the strongest evidence for the theory in this video. To start to dig into this theory and see if it holds any weight or not, we can start with the piece of evidence that made me want to make this video. I saw this image, which many were claiming was a person on top of the tower. It comes from stabilized footage of the water tower, which was seen in the background of someone's recording when the shooting happened. They were standing roughly somewhere in this area. Some claim this is just a shadow, while others claim it is the outline of a person there since it seems to detach. The Secret Service and local police department have both confirmed they had no one on the tower, and it was unsecured.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful.
To start with this piece of evidence, we need to first address the time of day and where the shadows would be casted. It was 6:11 p.m. in Pennsylvania, so the sun would be set in the west. This would lead the shadows to fall on this side of the tower. We can further confirm this by seeing darker shadows here and here. The artifact we are seeing here is likely just the shadow of this bulb. It becomes more evident if we zoom out of the frame. It's too far in the distance to say for sure, so we can only say what is more likely. Another common thing that is said is, Thomas couldn't have shot from there because a tree blocks his line of sight. Therefore, it is impossible he could have been the one shooting. This likely comes from some early reporting from mainstream media sites placing him on the wrong part of the roof in their recreations. For example here, you can see the Daily Mail has him on the right side of the roof, and here you can see the New York Times has him on the left side of the roof. The claim is that this tree would be blocking him, but if we look at actual photos from the event, we can see that Thomas is here, with a direct line of sight. We know this by looking at footage from the event. We can see the person recording it is standing under a tree. That would mean he's standing in this area, since on the other side it is parking lot. He is also standing in a grass lot. The most important thing to consider when looking at the plausibility of this theory is, based on the current locations of the shots, does it still make sense if the shooter was in an elevated position at this new vantage point? Well, if we consider the shots carefully, most notably the initial shot that grazed the former president's ear, we can see that it hit his ear and then hit the tractor hydraulic, causing the lift to fail. This indicates that the bullet took a straight path with very little drop. It's a high indication that it was shot horizontally and not at a significant angle. If it was shot from a highly elevated position like the water tower, we would expect it to hit the ground somewhere along the stage, not making it to the tractor at all. Looking at these two corner shots too, we can conclude much the same thing. From a higher angle, the shooter would have to be aiming for someone other than his target to hit the corners here. If we consider the same shots from the roof position the shooter was seen on, we can see they are within his margin of error.